Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pants Our Dragon, and today we'll be doing the top 10 best junglers for solo queue as of patch 5.12. And with the new addition of Runeglaive coming into the jungle, some junglers are a bit more better, and some junglers are a bit more shittier. And some junglers have been nerfed, aka Gragas, and some junglers have apparently been buffed, at least, but are still shitty. Also, my opinions on some champions have been changed a bit, so I think some champions are a bit better than others in my last tier list. And so with all that being said, let's get started. Alright, so first up is going to be Fizz at number 10. So Fizz is a Lichbane user, which makes him a great Runeglaive user too, which means this makes AP Fizz in the jungle better. Before he was using Devour and going that on hit build you used to see, but they did revert the change back to kind of old AP Fizz. And so what's good about AP Fizz jungle? Well, he doesn't really take too much damage because of his passive in the jungle, and his ganks are really good since he does have 2 gap closers and a lot of CC. His clears become better once he gets a bit of AP, and he's also one of the few champions who can tower dive easily because of his E. He's also a great duelist if he has a Skirmisher Saber, plus he has his 20% increased damage coming from his R. Although he is a pretty good jungler, especially with the Runeglaive coming in, I do think he's more of a mid laner or maybe even top laner. But maybe he might be higher in this tier list, I just don't have a good feel for him right now. I've only seen him being played a few times in ranked, and it was like kind of average performance, but I do feel like he is a bit stronger in jungle with this Runeglaive. Next up is going to be Rengar. He's still good, like, you know, it's tank meta, but who the hell cares in solo queue, everyone plays whatever. And so sometimes you may be facing a tanky team, but other times you might be facing a squishy team. Or it doesn't matter really because, you know, it is solo queue, so you'll find all types of champions and players. Just know how to play Rengar and get those kills around the map in the early game, and just know how to snowball with Rengar. Because in the right hands, he's really good, and most players who play him are like Rengar mains, of course. Next up at number 8 is going to be Vi. I do feel like she's still good. She's like this bruiser with really good base damage, and if she goes against tanks, she has % health damage. Oh, and she shreds their armor. Nothing really changed to her in the recent patch, so let's move on to the next guy. Next up is going to be Pantheon, and I do feel like he's pretty good for solo queue just because he can drop down on the enemy bot lane and camp them forever, especially if they're like a Jinx in the bot lane. So that's easy camping for Pantheon and easy kills for him too. I do feel like he is stronger than Vi, well, personally, but I don't think the Black Cleaver did anything good for him. I feel like just going Brutalizer, Last Whisper is the way to go and, you know, a bit better. And yeah, he is going to be one of my niche picks, I know, but I still like him in general. Next up is going to be Gragas. Gragas received some nerfs this patch where his health regen went down, and also the slow duration on his Q went down by like 0.7, so now it's like a 1.3 second slow. And so obviously there's going to be less CC in his kit since, well, that's almost half of the slow gone. So his ganks and team fighting are a bit weaker, but he still packs a lot of CC with his E and R, so like he's still good in that sense. I mean, he kind of loses his sticking power because his slow is down, of course, but he still packs a lot of base damage with his W, you know, with the % health damage, and he's still really tanky. I think the health regen nerf did hurt a bit, but I think his passive does make up most of his health regen. Either way, I still see a lot of people playing him. Next up we have Lee Sin, again, good champion still, especially in solo queue. Make use of the great early game he has and snowball your way to victory. Make sure not to build full AD because, well, you're not tanky enough to go in and kill somebody and then probably get out. Either way, full AD is just super bad because you do fall off late game. And again, if you know how to play Lee Sin, do all the tricks and stuff he has with his kit, knowing when to peel or initiate with his ultimate, then good for you. You can play him because he's a really good champion in the right hands. Next up at number 5 is going to be Nunu, and I'm a bit disappointed in myself, but he's a good champion, I know that for sure, and like, he's a really good tank and somehow can get a lot of kills. I've done that a lot of times for some reason, but I can't see myself carrying the game since, you know, I don't have a lot of damage. All I am is really an 80 carry buff steroid person and a frontliner to protect that 80 carry. Don't get me wrong, I still play him from time to time, I just prioritize other champions right now. And like, he's also the only tank jungler I'll play at the moment besides rek'sai. Speaking of rek'sai, well, she's not here yet, but let's talk a little bit about Evelynn. So Evelynn, she got a buff kind of with the Runeglaive if she goes more AP after, and even if she doesn't, she can go the warrior enchantment and be like a bruiser. But from my personal experience, I go Runeglaive and kind of go AP and kind of snowball my advantage through there. The only problem is I do fall off in the late game, and I'm putting myself at risk by being squishy. But now let's talk about the perks of her just in general. So she's stealth and can avoid the sight wards in the early game, so that's really good, and she has a lot of early game pressure. And once she gets those few early game kills, she can start snowballing the early game and eventually, win off that, because her mid game and late game kind of suck. And since I just said that, well, that's one of her faults, of course. So you don't want to really get in the mid game and late game. There's like better champions that will outscale you, so you don't want that to happen. Either way, abusing her early game is probably your best bet, and that's a really common thing in higher elos because they can snowball their advantages easily and not throw their leads as much, but of course they still do. Next up at number 2 is gonna be Nidalee. So, Nidalee, I said in another video that I kind of nerfed her early game, which is, no, that's actually not true. Because her clears feel, basically the same, and it's just that now she has more mana regen, and now her ganks are a bit more consistent because now some of that spear and cougar power is shifted into her auto attacks, aka the Runeglaive proc. So that's pretty good, and now when it comes to mid game and late game, she now has a free Lichbane in her kit, so that's pretty good. And yeah, overall I just see it as a buff, because if she's cutting back in a team fight, she can poke them with her auto attacks in human form. And if she's poking and then she gave the boo buff to someone else, well, she can just go do a jungle camp and get some mana off that. And now she can go Stalker's Blade even more because she doesn't need Trailblazer, as she has, the mana gen coming from that Runeglaive. Overall, I do find that she is a really good champion right now. And in number 1 is gonna be rek'sai, Queen of the Jungle. So probably your number 1 priority ban if you're on purple side, because you don't want to get blue team getting this champion. And why don't you want them getting rek'sai? Well, it's because of her insane mobility going around the map, having those awesome clears, being really fucking tanky, and just having overall base damage while also having teleport for free on her ultimate. She's an early game jungler who scales really good into the mid game and late game, so she's just good in all stages of the game, and it's just super powerful right now. And yeah, probably the number 1 jungler for solo queue, and same goes as for competitive play because, well, Gragas got nerfed and, he was up there, but now he's down there, so yeah, rek'sai the best. And the same honorable mentions in the last video, Hecarim, Shyvana, and Kha'Zix. Hey guys, so thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy this tier list, maybe you'll enjoy top 5 best top laners for solo queue patch 5.12, top 5 best mid laners, and then there's top 5 best AD carries, but that's for patch 5.11, but I mean, AD carries didn't get changed, right? And again, look out for the next jungle video because patch 5.13 is when they're coming out with Sage Devour, and maybe Master Yi will be at number 1 or some bullshit like that, who knows, but do stick around and subscribe to check that out for future. Again, I am Panther Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.
Turn up the speakers.